Hi, this is a video of me installing the cargraphic exhaust controller. So firstly, open the boot, open the back, open the trunk, the front as well, because you're going to need to disconnect the battery. So you need these open before you can really start. Disconnect the battery, put the lead out of the way so it's not going to go back and touch the terminal. Once you've got the hood up, you've got to remove these little bolts that are done with your fingers. You just sort of twist those and they come off. I suggest you put them in the tray because I put them on the roof and one fell off. But these just spin off with your fingers. It's quite easy to do. Just takes a minute or two. Then you're going to need one of these pry tools, and you've got to pry out these two lugs. There's one either side. They're to the side of the roof. This is best done actually when the roof is down, I found out afterwards. So if you put the roof down, you can see these down the side of the roof and remove them. I did them with the roof up and it was a lot harder. You can see I'm fiddling in there, but if the roof's in the down position, they're much easier to access. This is where one fell off the roof and I was trying to find it for ages. So that's it with the roof down, they're much more accessible. Then you just pull the roof away like this, pull this rubber piece up, rubber strip just flies off, and then you can actually remove the engine cover carpet. So this all comes out quite easily. Pull it out from behind the roof there. There are holes in it where it goes over those same bolts as the roof. I'm doing all this one-handed as well, so it's a bit more awkward. This is the sound insulation. Top tip, if you want to hear the engine more, just leave this bit out when you put it back. You can pull that out actually without removing the next stabiliser bar, or I think it might be better actually to remove the stabiliser bar first before pulling that sound deadening material away. And you'll see this bar now, which is what the roof actually fixes to, and this is held on with some Torque T30 bolts. As you can see, there's one in there, another one on the other side that when you sort of drop down the metal piece. And there are some in the one in each corner, and there's another one in the centre, right in the centre as well. So just remove those, and then this metal bracket comes away, put that down somewhere safe. Now you've just got all these Torque T30 nuts again to remove the engine cover. Get all those out. The ones that are visible quite easy, and there's some that are actually under the hood really. If you've got one of these little tiny ratchets, which I thoroughly recommend, tiny little ratchet fits right under there nicely, and you can get to those bolts which are a little bit troublesome to get to otherwise. So once all those bolts are out, the engine cover just lifts straight off. Again, I'm doing this one-handed. So there's the engine, the bit you've never seen. And we're going to have to remove some of these pipes on the top there to gain access to the valve unit. Now, these come off quite easily. See that white tab? You just push that in and then you can actually remove that air suction pipe from the solid pipe work that's mounted on the top of the engine. It's just like metal clips that hold that down. You can just pull the pipe work away from the engine. There's 3 clips hold that down. Another 2 vacuum pipes to remove. There's that one there, and this is a bit awkward to get to. You have to squeeze both sides of this, which I found a bit difficult, and just let you see it. You're squeezing both sides and that just lifts away. like that. There's one in the background there which has got the same push button system, 2 buttons, push those in, which I've already done, and then that just pulls away. Now you can actually lift that pipework up and out of the way of the part you need access to. Right, so buried in there, down low, see that little white tab? I'm going to point to it now. That's what you've got to unclip to be able to remove the electrical connector. So get a screwdriver under the grey part of the clip and lift it up until you hear a small click, and then you're going to be able to pull out that electrical connector from the actual plug on the engine itself. So there's the plug removed. Okay, round into the boot now. These parts just pull straight up, lift off. You don't need to remove the actual filling knobs at all. Those picks come off quite easily. And you've got to pull the carpet back on both sides of the boot actually. Fuse board's on the right hand side, stuffed away in the right hand corner. So it'll be handy for you to know how to access that just in case you ever get a problem. So there are all your fuses, and we're going to go into the top right hand spare way that's next to that 5 amp fuse. Now this is the left hand side. Again, pull the carpet back, remove this bit of sound deadening material, bit of foam, polystyrene. And now you need the actual car graphics unit and start feeding the cables through. So the one with the 2 connectors on it that's going to the engine goes through that hole. There's a bracket in the boot that's convenient to mount it on. There's a sticky back pad on the back of the car graphic unit. I found a zip tie was useful to tie it on there as well. The other cable, which is your power cable, runs across the boot to the other side. This is me actually just connecting the car graphic connectors between the engine and the car wiring harness. That's just 2 simple clip-in plugs. I double taped the body and then 4 tapes over the top of that to stop the case that goes, the engine case, or the actual body itself cutting through the wire. There is a big rubber seal around the engine case, so it's not actually metal to metal, so I don't think we're going to have any problems there. That's the engine cover going back on. Just line that up. As you can see, there's a big rubber seal under there that pushes down onto on top of the wire, so it's not going to actually cut through the wire. Although Car Graphic do recommend the tape, as I've done there, so why not? This is the insulation piece. Sound deadening, put that back in. So I put that back in first before I installed the hood bracket. So this is the hood bracket going into place. Put the centre bolt in there first, then you can get it to the right position, and then you can get the ones in, the 2 in the middle and the 2 on the outside edge as well. And the engine cover carpet can go in, and then you push the hood back over these bolts. If you leave the hood loose, so it's not fixed at the front, that gives you more slack to be able to pull that over. Rubber seal goes back on, back edge between the trunk and the engine cover. Drop the roof back down then into its lower position. So into the boot, into the fuse board. Now you've got to actually unbolt the fuse board, if you like, from the bodywork. There's 3 bolts that hold that on, 10 mils. There I'm just pointing to the space we're going to use for the new 5 amp fuse. The 5 amp fuse isn't provided by cargraphic, so you do need to have one of those before you start this project. There are 3 bolts holding it to the body. They're 10mm. You need a 10mm socket and extension to undo those. Then the whole fuse board comes away from the bodywork. You can see the 3 holes there now where it's bolted on. And see that black wire at the top, the thicker one, that is the live from the ignition. So when the ignition's on, that provides a live feed. That's the one that we're going to use to power the exhaust control unit. So that hole I'm pointing to is where you're going to insert the plug that comes on the cargraphic lead. You just need to make sure it's pushed in fully so that you can see it's come right to the front of this socket. Otherwise, when you push the fuse in, you will just push the wire out the back of the connector and you will not have a reliable electric connection. So once you've got it fully forward like that, then you can go and put your 5 amp fuse into that way there. So that's the 5 amp fuse, new one I've put in. Now you can reinstall the fuse box. It comes with loads of spare red wire, or a long length of it, which I just wrapped up and stored in that little pocket. This is an earth connection that's already right there on the right hand side. It's already been used, so I just removed that 13mm nut and installed the earth lead there on the same connection. Okay, there's the bolts that hold the fuse board on. Now I tried balancing the nuts in a socket and pushing them through, and on 2 occasions the nuts just, as soon as you get through there, you've got to go through the wires to get on there, and there it goes, the nuts falling straight off. So a little bit of grease into your socket, just wipe some grease in there, put the nut in, and that will just hold the nut in place in the socket whilst you post it through those wires and get it onto the stud. So once I've got the grease in there, I didn't have any problems at all. Okay, so that's the final sort of electrical connection. That's all done. See that metal wire on the floor there? You may have just seen it. That's the emergency boot release. In case the solenoid stops working there, that wire goes through under the car and you can actually pull it from underneath. So don't put any valuables in your boot, I'd suggest, really. Yeah, that wire just goes through a grommet underneath the car and can be pulled from underneath. These covers just locate back in those holes. 3 little sprung clips, just locate those and they clip straight back down and in. Rubber strip to go back round the boot, the whole way round. Boot needs a back out now. So that's with the sports exhaust off. Now it's on. Thanks for watching.